Commission, EERC, lacked the regulatory power to fix the electricity price when the power is generated and transmitted from the national grid. This followed the reduction of tariff for Band A customers in the state. Now, many of the consumers placed on Band A, which promises at least 20 hours of power supply daily, said that they were under the weight of high tariffs and poor services. Now, some of the customers also decried the huge amounts of money they were meant to pay through the estimated bill, as they do not have meters to get their fair billing. Now, according to the NERC, 6,468,036 of the 13,767,884 registered electricity consumers across the 12 distribution companies were metered as of March 31st, 2025, leaving 53.2% unmetered. Now, in Kano, industrialists in Sharada and Dakata industrial areas said they spent millions monthly on electricity while still relying on generators due to inconsistent power supply. Now, the allocation of power distributed by the Kano Electricity Distribution Company had in the past 3 weeks dropped from 300 megawatts to 130 megawatts over what the Kano Electricity Distribution Company attributes to the reduced allocation from the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, due to an ongoing maintenance on the 330 kV Shiroro Kaduna transmission line. Now, the reduced allocation is being shared to the 3 franchise states of Kano, Katsina, and Jigawa. Right now, talking about the TCN had put out a notice, public notice. It said, if you're following us on YouTube, you will get to see the TCN public notice. It says, planned power outage due to TCN maintenance. Dear esteemed customer, please be informed that the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, will carry out scheduled maintenance on the Omotosho Ikeja West 330 kVA transmission lines from Monday, July 28, that's today, to Thursday, August 21st, 2025, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. daily. Now, during this period, customers may experience intermittent power supply and load shedding across our network due to the signed management. Date July 25th, 2025. That is from the Transmission Company of Nigeria. And of course, so don't forget, the TCN has reduced allocation for Kano, Katsina, and Jigawa. The 27 of the 43 areas allocated to enjoy steady light or steady power on Band A from the Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company are in Kano State, while the remaining 16 are in Katsina and Jigawa. Right. Now, most of those areas in Kano fall under places identified as industrial areas, mostly in Chalawa, Sharada, and Bompai and Dakata areas of Kano. Now, a small-scale industrialist in the state who operates in Sharada industrial area said over 60% of his profit goes to electricity bills and declining supply. Right now, another small-scale industrial owner in the state said he pays up to 2 million naira monthly, which is about 65% of his total profit. He called on the federal government to restore electricity subsidies for industries. Return. Another, excuse me, return. Another, excuse me, another Band A user in Kano said he has begun switching to solar energy due to high tariffs and unreliable supply. Right now, a Band A customer in Jambulo area of Kano metropolis said the recent drop in supply is affecting both households and businesses. He urged the state to take advantage of the recent constitutional amendment allowing states to generate electricity. In Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, businesses and several banks said they are operating almost entirely on diesel, as they allege that the power supply is often less than 3 hours a day. The manager of Maiduguri flour mills said, and I quote, "We only get 2 to 3 hours of electricity supply daily, and most times the voltage is low, which has forced us to switch to generators." He lamented that most of the industries in Maiduguri have closed down because of electricity issues. A manager of a first-generation bank in Maiduguri said the Yola Electricity Distribution Company, YEDC, has been inflating bills despite erratic supplies. So, in Kaduna, small business owners say electricity tariff now take up over 60% of their income, with some calling the band classification system a mistake that punishes loyal consumers. Now, a printing firm in Kaduna said the combination of economic hardship and rising power costs is unbearable for small businesses, and added that the entire business environment is tough with no relief in sight. So these are the various lamentations, of business owners across northern part of Nigeria. And then when contacted to explain what the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission (NEC) was doing to get the distribution companies to supply power regularly, the General Manager, Public Affairs of the Commission, Usman Arabi, neither answered calls to his mobile phone lines nor replied to messages sent to him. Similarly, the spokesman of Yola, Kaduna, Ibadan and Abuja electricity distribution companies, Benga Adebola, Abdulaziz Abdullahi, Busolami Chuashe, and Adefisayo Akinsaya, respectively, did not respond to calls and messages sent to their mobile phones lines by journalists seeking their reactions to the allegation of poor electricity supply and outage bills. In Benue, Plateau residents have called government to action. Residents of Makurdi, Benue State, have expressed optimism that power supply will improve greatly when the state begins to generate its own electricity. In fact, it will have multiple positive effects on businesses and boost income. But let's get down to the fact that business owners, banks, manufacturers are set to lose hundreds of billions of state. Now, this comes as the Ikeja Electric and Eco Electricity Distribution Company on Friday last week, in separate statements, announced that Lagos and part of Ogun State, Agbara, will be plunged into weeks of power outage. Eco Disco said the outage could cover working hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. From July 28th, that's today, to August the 21st, 2025. And that's the TCN public notice we brought to you earlier. As a result of that public notice, the outage will occur between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. each day, affecting several parts of Lagos and other serviced areas, Eco Disco stated. Also, Ikeja Electric, covering most parts of Lagos State, announced the blackout. So the discos explained that the outage is due to the maintenance of the Omotosho Ikeja West 330 kV line by the Transmission Company of Nigeria. Now, of course, reports show that while Ikeja Electric serves larger parts of Lagos, Eco Disco is in charge of the southern part of the state, including Agbara community in Ogun State. Now, anybody who knows Lagos and Agbara is more or less the industrial hub, one of the big industrial hubs in southwest Nigeria. Now, the Keja Electric and Eco Discos are Nigeria's electricity distribution companies with the highest share of power supply from the national grid. Unfortunately, Lagos State plays host to the majority of Nigeria's businesses with an estimated 13 trillion spent monthly on electricity bills, according to the Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Biodun Ogunleye. Now, according to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission's first quarter 2025 report, the two discos collected the highest revenue of 101 billion, 105 billion respectively. And unfortunately, the outage would result in a drop in revenue for the discos and further worsen the liquidity crisis in the country's power sector. Now, CPPE has spoken on the implication for business owners and Nigerians in general. Reacting to the development, the Chief Executive Officer of the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise, Muda Yusuf, said the cost implication of the blackout will be enormous for business owners, residents, and the Nigerian economy at large. Now, according to him, the outage would result in significant pressure on energy costs for businesses and manufacturers, which would impact productivity. Right? So, he, however, added that the sacrifice of being without electricity supply is what taking to boost the nation's national grid capacity. So, though that is the reality, as it were, as far as electricity supply is concerned. Don't forget, we are looking at electricity supply as it wasn't despite heightened tariffs. So, for residents and business owners in Abuja, of course, you can share with us your experience, especially under the current situation. The studio line is live and active. You can reach us on 0808-312-8618. Let's hear your experiences. Are you on band A? And if you're on band A, how much out of 24 hours a day, according to the Ministry of Power, on band A is supposed to get about 20 hours of electricity supply daily, right? Yeah. So how many hours of power supply are you getting? How is it affecting your business? What is the state of affairs in terms of the tariff you are paying? Is it within reach, or is it something something has to be done as far as the tariff is concerned? All this and more right here on the Arena, only on 96.1 FM. Remember, you have a voice, and this is the opportunity for you to jump on this issue as we try to see whether we can prefer some workable solutions, especially in the wake of the TCN saying that some areas of the southwest will be out of power from July 28th up to August 21st, 2025. All this and more. We'll take a quick breather, and when we return, we'll begin to take your reactions on the phone lines this morning on the Arena. Do stay with us. Yes, it's still the arena on 96.1 FM. And of course, we are looking at electricity supply worsens despite high tariffs. Yes, electricity supply worsens despite high tariffs. And we hear that Lagos state government has disclosed that residents collectively spend over 13 trillion naira monthly on electricity consumption, an amount described as unsustainable amid the persistent challenge of unreliable power supply. Now, this was revealed by the Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Biodun Ogunleye, during a press briefing held Thursday at the Bagaduda Press Center, Alausa Ikeja, ahead of the inaugural Lagos Energy Summit scheduled for earlier in the year. Now, Ogunleye described the staggering monthly energy expenditure by both residents and the government as a clear indicator of the urgent need for alternative, reliable power sources. Now, as part of efforts to cut costs and promote energy efficiency, Ogunleye announced that the state will commence the installation of 22,000 solar-powered streetlights on major highways in the first phase of a broader renewable energy initiative. He explained that diesel power generators currently used to light up streets have become increasingly unsustainable due to rising fuel costs. And so that's the situation. Now, for talking about diesel, there's a lot that is going on in the downstream energy sector, because we hear that the federal government is pledging support for local investors, but this is the story. President of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has described President Tinubu as a listening president whose policy direction is reviving investor confidence in Nigeria's struggling economy and addressing long-standing crude supply bottlenecks. Now, this was as the federal government reiterated its commitment to tackling domestic investment bottlenecks and strengthening private sector-led development. Dangote made the remark over the weekend when the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, paid a walking visit to the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals, as well as Dangote Fertilizer Limited in Ibejuleki, Lagos. He applauded the federal government's recent intervention aimed at easing crude oil supply to local refineries, particularly commending the Naira for Crude initiative and Nigeria First policy as bold and transformative efforts. Now, the industrialist talking about Dangote explained that such measures, alongside broader economic reforms, were gradually stabilizing the foreign exchange market and restoring predictability. Dangote also lauded the federal government for setting up a one-stop shop mechanism to improve coordination among key regulators and security agencies, which he said enabled real-time resolution of operational challenges under the Naira for Crude program. Highlighting upcoming innovations, Dangote disclosed that the refinery is set to deploy 4,000 compressed natural gas (CNG) tankers to enhance product distribution while cutting logistic costs and promoting cleaner energy use. Continuing, the minister who described the Dangote refinery as a landmark initiative of historic proportion, noted that the administration is backing such efforts with concrete action. Oduwole, I beg your pardon, further stated that the federal government was constantly engaging with industrial stakeholders to review policy, regulation, legislative frameworks that reduce the cost of doing business and boost. The gap is wide, because if Nigerians are paying trillions of naira to be able to get consistent power and are still spending humongous sums of money for the purchase of diesel, as you heard, even the commissioner for energy in Lagos State said, look, this cannot be sustained. And so they need to begin to look for alternative sources of power. So the big question is, where is the missing link? How do these policies begin to make sense? Because Nigerians are spending money they don't have through their nose, and the worst part is that they're not getting value for their money. Power supply is, I think, epileptic is just an understatement. In some cases, it is non-existent. And so, what's the situation in your in your area? How much power are you getting? What band are you? Are you on band A? Band A is supposed to get an average of about 20 hours of supply. How much of 20 hours do you get? I mean, and how much are you paying? What is the tariff like for you? Hit us up on 0808 312 8618. 0808 312-8618. Let's hear from you. What's the way to go with the issue of power? Because right now, it's looking as if, I mean, it's a frustrating situation. As Nigerians continue to grapple with epileptic electricity supply, and most importantly, soaring bills. I mean, everybody's complaining. The manufacturers are not hitting their production benchmark because of poor power supply, and they're spending more to be able to keep their businesses open on diesel and alternative sources of power. So, how do we resolve these issues? Now, the Electricity Act was supposed to be a means or a tool as to be able to reverse the fortunes of the power sector. But somehow it seems not to be able to bring the solutions that most Nigerians have been anticipating over time. It's looking as if now over what they generate and distribute within their area. The Enugu electricity distribution company sometime last week did bring down its tariff for band A users within its area of jurisdiction. But surprisingly, the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, has come out to say the Enugu electricity distribution company does not have the right to bring down the cost of the tariff, simply because it is getting the power that it is distributing, it is getting from the national grid. So how do we begin to resolve all of this bureaucratic bottlenecks, as the case may be? Yes, the policies are there, but the policies in terms of implementation and effective value delivery are lacking. So where is the missing link? Call us up 0808 312 8618. 0808 312 8618. And like I like to say, even when the show goes off the air, of course, the conversation 1FM on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, formerly known as Twitter, and don't forget, we are streaming live on our YouTube channel. So follow, like, subscribe, and don't forget to click on the notification button so that you get notified when fresh at 8618. Let's hear from you. What do you think? How do you think the issue of power can be resolved? It seems to be a multifaceted challenge for the power sector, and so much money has been pumped into the power sector with a hope to reviving and resuscitating the sector to deliver more value. But unfortunately, both in terms of policy and service delivery, the sector seems to be lacking, as Nigerians are paying more but getting less in terms of value, getting less in terms of regular supply. I mean, if on the average, Nigerians are getting, or Nigerians who are on band A are getting between 16 to 20 hours as promised, by the Minister of Power, I think the story will be different. The subject of inflation, factors of labor, all of this, and production, factors of labor and production, would all come down to a reasonable level that will allow Nigerians to be able to afford the basic amenities of life. But as it were, it seems to be a compounded, complex situation of woes as far as the power sector is concerned. So remember, you can, even if your calls don't get through, you can react via text message or WhatsApp. The WhatsApp number is 0808-312-8618, and you can be part of the conversation. Don't forget that if you do get through on the phone lines, tell us your name, your location, and make your contributions concise, straight to the point, so that we can take as many contributions as possible. 0808-312-8618. That's the number to call. And of course, don't forget that the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, through his media aide, Bolaji Tunji, said that the government was trying to resolve the problems, emphasizing that it won't get done overnight. President Bola Tinubu had on February 9, 2024, signed the Nigeria Electricity Act Amendment Bill to decentralize power generation and allow the states to take charge of their needs. Well, under the act, the states have the authority to control and regulate electricity within their domains. At least that's what the act says. They have the freedom to generate, transmit, and distribute power using the existing facilities of government. Although the act has been domesticated in 11 states, Enugu, Ondo, Ekiti, Imo, Oyo, Edo, Kogi, Lagos, Ogun, Niger, and Plateau, residents and business owners say the impact is yet to be felt, decrying irregular power supply, in some cases low voltage. The increase in electricity tariff for Band A consumers has also elicited complaints from consumers who said it was taking a huge toll on their finances. So that's the conversation. Of course, we'll keep it live and interactive until tomorrow, where we bring another incisive conversation on the arena right here on 96.1 FM. Special thanks to everyone who's kept it locked on 96.1. And remember, now you have a voice.